This girl named Dominika is a top dancer at a famous theater in Russia. She wears a crown on stage and moves with amazing grace. Because of her beauty and talent, many rich and powerful men admire her every day. But Dominika only cares about dancing. Her mother has a bad leg, and Dominika needs to stay successful to get free physical therapy and a place to live, both provided by the theater. But life changed suddenly. One day, while Dominika was dancing like normal, something terrible happened. Her dance partner stepped on her leg by mistake, and it broke. When she woke up, she was lying in a hospital bed with metal pins in her leg. The doctors had done surgery. Dominika realized her dancing career was now over. 3 months later, Dominika left the hospital. She could walk again, though not as before. When she came back home, she saw a man in the house. It was her uncle Ivan. He worked as a deputy director in the Russian intelligence agency. Because he was always busy, he rarely visited them. Dominika made him tea, and Ivan told her he might help her find work. Before leaving, he gave her a file. When Dominika checked it in her room, she found a voice recorder and some photos. The recorder had a secret conversation. It was her dance partner talking with another female dancer. From the talk, Dominika learned that the female dancer wanted to take Dominika's place. She had seduced Dominika's partner, and they planned to hurt Dominika's leg to remove her from the stage. Dominika got very angry. She rushed to the theater, found the two in a bathroom, and hit them with a stick. Afterward, she got scared. She called an ambulance in case she had hurt them badly, then ran away. Back at home, she found her mother on the floor in pain. The theater had stopped paying them, so the nanny who helped take care of her mother didn't come anymore. Dominika knew she had to find a way to survive and stay in the city. So she went to ask Uncle Ivan for help again. But Ivan, being clever and high up in the intelligence agency, never did anything for free, even for his niece. He said she must do him a favor first. He told her to go to a fancy hotel at 9 p.m. on Friday night. She should take a bath, wear a special dress he had prepared, and sit in the most noticeable spot in the hotel bar. Her job was to catch the attention of a rich man named Dmitri, talk to him, go with him to his room, and quietly switch his phone while he wasn't looking. But things didn't go as planned. Dmitri treated her roughly. Just when he was about to do something bad, a man in a helmet showed up behind him. The man used a wire to strangle Dmitri. Dominika was terrified. The man told her to follow him. He shot the door lock with a silenced gun and led her down to the garage. After taking care of the bodyguard, the man took Dominika out of the hotel on a motorcycle. They went into a secret room. The man removed his helmet, showing his face. Just then, Uncle Ivan walked into the room too. His whole attitude had changed. He looked cold and serious. Ivan told Dominika she had seen too much. Since she saw the assassin and his face, she now had only two choices. 1, go for special training and become a Russian spy. 2, lose her life right here. Dominika had no real choice. She chose to live and accept the training. Before she left, she went home to say goodbye to her mother. Her mother gave her one important piece of advice. With your Uncle Ivan, protect yourself. Always leave yourself a way out. The car that came to pick her up drove along a snowy road. Dominika knew that once she left, her life would never be the same. She was taken to a cold and remote place. Russia's secret school number 4 in Siberia. This was a military training base. A female trainer welcomed her. The first thing she gave Dominika was a rule book. One important rule: never share your real name or any personal details. All the students were called Sparrows. They were young men and women sent from different parts of Russia. One of the main things they were taught was how to find a person's weakness and use it. After explaining the rules, the female trainer called Dominika and a male student to the front of the class. She ordered them to take off their clothes in front of everyone. Dominika was shocked, but the instructor said that their bodies belonged to the country now. To serve, they had to forget pride and shame. Along with this harsh training, Dominika also learned useful skills: how to shoot, unlock doors, and track people. Just like Ivan had said, Dominika was a natural. She did well in every subject, but because she stood out, others were jealous of her. One day, while she was taking a shower, a naked male student suddenly pushed her against the wall. He had disliked Dominika for a long time and wanted to control her in a disgusting way. But Dominika wasn't easy to control. She grabbed a metal tool and hit him, knocking him to the ground. Because of this, the school head called Dominika to his office. But instead of punishing her, he said nothing about the fight. Still, the female instructor wasn't done. In the next class, she called both Dominika and the male student to the front again. She told Dominika to give him what he wanted. The male student told her to turn around. But instead, Dominika boldly removed her clothes and stood in front of him without fear. Seeing her act this way, he suddenly lost interest. He put on his clothes and walked away, defeated. Dominika had already figured him out. He didn't just want her body, he wanted control and power. By standing strong, she took that power away. The head of the school saw this and realized that Dominika had learned how to read people's minds. That was the final test. She passed, and they let her graduate. Dominika was then sent back to Russia. As soon as Dominika got back home, she received a phone call from Ivan. He asked her to meet him at a restaurant. There, he gave her her first mission. A few months earlier, a CIA agent named Nash met with his informant in a Russian park to exchange secret information. At that moment, a police patrol drove by and stopped the informant. To help, Nash pulled out his gun and fired shots into the air, drawing the police away. This allowed the informant to escape. Nash then ran straight to the U.S. Embassy and was safe. Later, he returned to the United States. But now, Russian intelligence had found out that Nash was in Budapest, Europe. Ivan wanted to find out who the informant was, so he decided to send Dominika to get close to Nash. Dominika didn't want to be a spy, but Ivan promised that if she completed this mission, he would let her go free. Left with no choice, Dominika went to Budapest. She stayed in a building owned by the Russian Security Bureau. Her roommate was Marta, a senior spy who had worked there for years. Marta warned Dominika to be careful around the station chief, saying he was a creepy old man who liked to take advantage of young women. As Marta predicted, when the chief met Dominika, his eyes lit up. He kept looking for chances to get close to her, but Dominika ignored him. From the mission files, Dominika learned that Nash liked to swim every day. She quietly followed him at the pool all day. That evening, she dyed her hair blonde. The next day, she went to register for a membership at the same swimming pool. While filling out the form, she stopped for a moment. At first, she used a fake name, but then she tore it up and wrote her real name, giving away her true identity. Wearing a tight swimsuit, Dominika walked past Nash on purpose to get his attention. As she left the pool, Nash called her back. He told her that he had already noticed her the day before and even saw that she had changed her hair. This meant Nash knew she was trying to get close to him. Hearing this, Dominika got on a bus, feeling nervous. But after the bus drove off, she smiled. The next day, Dominika went to the pool again, but Nash didn't show up. When she returned the locker key, the staff couldn't find her form. It turned out Nash had taken her form and looked into her background. He told his bosses what he found. Dominika used to be a dancer. And more importantly, she was the granddaughter of the deputy director of the Russian security agency. Nash believed that if Dominika had used her real name, she must have had a reason. He started to think about whether he could turn her to his side. The next day, at a fancy international wine party, Nash saw Dominika again. This time, they spoke freely, knowing each other's roles. Nash told her clearly that he wanted to be friends. They agreed to have dinner the next night. That night, Dominika came home and noticed that Marta wasn't in the room. She secretly searched around and found a hidden envelope in the wall. Inside were personal photos of Marta with an American woman. She also found a diary. It said that the woman in the photos worked as the chief of staff for a U.S. senator. Dominika flipped through more pages and discovered that Marta was planning a secret deal in London, selling information for $250,000. Just then, Marta came back. Dominika quickly closed the diary and came out of the room. Marta handed Dominika a piece of paper. It was a report that said Dominika had refused the station chief's invitation to sleep with him. Because of that, the angry station chief had told higher-ups that Dominika had failed her mission. The following night, Dominika didn't go to the dinner with Nash as they had planned. Instead, she secretly followed him back to his apartment. Now that she knew where he lived, she decided to take a more direct approach. Later that night, she rang his doorbell, pretending to be upset. With a few fake tears and a soft voice, she tried to make herself look vulnerable and draw Nash in with her charm. But things didn't go as planned. Nash didn't fall for it. Instead, he calmly asked her to think seriously about what she really wanted. For the first time, Dominika realized what failure felt like. She hadn't been able to read him or control the situation. With no other options, she asked if they could meet again the next day. The next day, Dominika went to the pool and waited, but Nash never showed up. Left with no choice, she returned to his apartment. Using her lock-picking skills, she broke in and searched the place. But there was nothing useful until she noticed 2 wine glasses on the table from the night before. She took one of them, the one with Nash's fingerprints, and left. When she returned to her building, she was surprised to see Ivan waiting for her. Apparently, the station chief had reported her lack of progress to him. Since Dominika still hadn't delivered anything valuable, Ivan was ready to take action. Panicked, Dominika told Ivan about Marta's upcoming deal with the Americans, claiming it was a joint operation between her and Marta. She even asked Ivan for $250,000 to move the plan forward. Ivan, sensing the lead could be important, decided to let her go for now. As he was leaving, Ivan realized he had forgotten his coat. Dominika offered to get it for him, and when she did, she quickly memorized the number on his passport. After Ivan left, Dominika turned around to find Marta standing there, holding a gun. Marta had overheard the entire conversation. Furious, Marta demanded to know why Dominika was trying to steal the target she had worked on for more than a year. Dominika calmly explained that she knew Marta wouldn't be able to get such a large payment from the Americans. But she, Dominika, had a better chance of getting that amount through official Russian channels, especially if she convinced the higher-ups it was an important mission. Marta didn't understand why Dominika was going so far, risking her life for this. That's when Dominika shared a dangerous secret. She had seen the government assassin who worked under Ivan. If anyone found out she knew that, she would be silenced. But by using that secret, she had unintentionally put Marta in danger too. After things calmed down, Dominika went to the train station and bought a ticket to Vienna. Then she walked to a local bank and peered through the glass doors. She spotted a young male employee who looked inexperienced, perfect for what she had in mind. When the bank closed, she rushed in, pretending to need to open a new account. The same young man was in charge of locking up. When she asked him out for coffee to discuss the account paperwork, the naive employee agreed. Meanwhile, Marta, still bitter, visited the Russian station chief and revealed Dominika's biggest secret, her weakness. That night, Dominika returned to her apartment. Marta wasn't there. The bathroom door was slightly open. Inside, Dominika found a horrifying sight. The assassin who had killed the rich tycoon Dmitri was now standing over Marta's lifeless body. She had been murdered. The assassin spared Dominika only because she was Ivan's granddaughter, but he left her with a chilling warning. If anyone else found out he was the one who killed Dmitri, the next body in the bathtub would be hers. After the local police conducted their investigation, they found nothing and had to release her. Waiting outside the police station, ready to pick her up, was Nash. It turned out that Nash had received a report from his CIA teammates. The latest intel confirmed that Dominika was, in fact, a Sparrow, a covert operative specially trained by Russian intelligence. Without wasting time, Nash confronted Dominika directly. He laid out the stark differences between American and Russian intelligence operations, criticizing the brutal and heartless ways the Russian Security Bureau treated its own agents. Nash hoped he could convince her to change sides. He promised that, just like he had protected his previous informant in Russia, he would do everything he could to protect her too. For the first time, Dominika was moved by his sincerity. After a moment of inner conflict, she agreed to work for the CIA. Nash immediately took her to a CIA safe house in Budapest, where two senior CIA officers were waiting. For security reasons, they strapped Dominika to a lie detector and asked her a series of probing questions to determine whether she truly wanted to defect to the U.S. side. But Dominika was no ordinary informant. As a professionally trained spy, she easily manipulated the polygraph, making it virtually useless. After the questioning, Dominika laid out her own demands. The CIA would need to deposit $30,000 into her account in Vienna every month. The officials were taken aback. She hadn't brought them any concrete intelligence yet, and already she was making bold financial demands. To prove her worth, Dominika dropped a bombshell. She revealed that the chief of staff of the U.S. Senate was planning to sell missile secrets. This revelation sent shockwaves through the room. Suddenly, Dominika was no longer just another Russian spy. She was someone with access to incredibly valuable information. On the day of the transaction, Dominika arrived at a designated hotel in London. Inside the room, a bag containing $250,000, provided by the Russian Security Bureau, was waiting. Hidden inside a compartment in the desk was a fake data disk provided by the CIA. Dominika headed to the hotel bar to wait for the target, Stephanie Boucher, the chief of staff. Unexpectedly, the local Russian station chief Maxim also showed up. He claimed he was there to help ensure the deal went smoothly, but Dominika immediately suspected he was actually sent by Ivan to monitor her. Dominika coldly confronted Maxim and chased him back into the hotel room to keep him under control. Shortly after, Stephanie appeared. She was surprised to see Dominika and not Marta, the contact she was expecting. Suspicious, Stephanie turned to leave, but Dominika had done her homework. She knew Stephanie was in desperate need of money. With calm persuasion, Dominika convinced her to proceed with the transaction. Back in the room, when Stephanie saw the cash-filled bag, her hesitation disappeared. She handed Dominika the data disk. Dominika then knelt beside the desk and opened the hidden compartment to swap the real disk with the fake one. But the process took longer than expected, raising Maxim's suspicions. In the next room, a CIA agent monitoring the situation realized something was wrong. To buy Dominika more time, she rushed over and rang the doorbell of the room, pretending to be hotel staff conducting a customer satisfaction survey. Maxim, irritated, went to answer the door. Thanks to the distraction, Dominika successfully completed the disk switch. She handed Stephanie the bag and told her to leave the hotel in an hour, but things quickly spiraled out of control. Stephanie, driven by greed, didn't wait. She left the hotel almost immediately, carrying the cash. While waiting to cross the street, she lit a cigarette, only to realize she was being tailed by multiple CIA agents. Panicking, she tossed the money bag into a trash bin and tried to walk away. Just then, a truck sped around the corner and struck her. Stephanie was killed instantly. The accident was witnessed by Russian agents stationed outside the hotel. One of them called it in immediately. Maxim, upon hearing the news, knew the situation had changed. He told the driver to head straight to the airport. He informed Dominika that the director of the Russian Security Bureau wanted to personally congratulate them, and they would fly to Moscow right away. Maxim then asked Dominika for her ticket and passport. That's when her instincts kicked in. This was a warning sign, but she had no choice but to stay calm and go along with it. Meanwhile, Nash had retrieved the swapped disc from the hotel and was preparing to leave when he got the call. Stephanie was dead. Knowing this put Dominika in immediate danger, he rushed to the airport to save her. He arrived just as Dominika was lining up to enter the boarding area. Their eyes met. Dominika gave a subtle shake of her head, signaling him not to intervene. Nash stood there, powerless. He knew she was heading straight into the lion's den. Back in Moscow, Dominika was taken to the Russian Security Bureau's headquarters. There, a stern interrogator sat her down and asked the one question that would decide her fate. Had she leaked information to the Americans? Of course, Dominika would never admit to betraying her country, even if it meant being beaten to death. Frustrated by her stubborn silence, Ivan personally called in an order: begin torture. Dominika was stripped naked and thrown into a freezing cell, where icy water continuously poured over her shivering body. Hours later, soaked and trembling, she was dragged back into the interrogation room. Again, the question was simple: did you leak information to the Americans? And again, Dominika refused to confess. This time, the beating was brutal, but Dominika endured. her training and iron will holding her together. Her silence was unwavering. The interrogators then played a video. Maxime, who had returned from the London mission with her, had been executed. The interrogator stood behind her, cocked a pistol, and asked her one final time. Still, Dominika did not speak. The trigger was pulled. Click. No bullets. A moment later, Ivan stepped into the room. He stared at his battered and soaked niece, clearly torn. He asked her to tell the truth. Dominika replied that everything she had done was to accomplish the mission, to win the Americans' trust and eventually uncover the identity of their hidden informant. That was the real goal, wasn't it? As a Sparrow, doing anything to complete the mission, even seducing, betraying, or suffering, was standard. Ivan couldn't find a flaw in her logic. Slowly, his hardened expression began to soften. Reluctantly, Ivan allowed Dominika to be released. For now. Later, when Ivan reported everything to the director and the headmaster, both men voiced strong suspicions. They believed Dominika was manipulating Ivan. Embarrassed and under pressure, Ivan made a chilling vow. If Dominika truly had betrayed them, he would kill her himself. Dominika returned to Budapest. She went straight back to Nash. She knew that Nash would never betray his country. He would never give up the informant's name, no matter how much she asked. And because of that, Dominika knew her own life was on a ticking clock. So she pushed for more. If she was going to die, she wanted to be protected. At the very least, she wanted security. She demanded that the full $250,000 be transferred into her Vienna account. Nash, still captivated by her and powerless to resist, agreed. In the end, the seasoned CIA operative had fallen for the Russian Sparrow, but fate came knocking. The next morning, Dominika woke up in bed alone. Nash was gone. Alarmed, she rushed to the kitchen and found a horrifying scene. The same silent assassin who had previously killed Dmitri was there, strangling Nash with a wire. Dominika instantly understood what was happening. Without hesitation, she feigned loyalty and began cooperating with the assassin, helping to tie Nash's hands. The assassin loosened the wire slightly, but then pulled out a chilling medical kit, filled with skin grafting tools used in hospitals to treat burn victims. He intended to torture Nash slowly until he gave up the name of the American informant. Dominika stood by, cold and expressionless, as the torture began. She even helped hold Nash down. But then, something shifted in her eyes. Nash wasn't just another target anymore. As the assassin focused on his tools, Dominika asked for one of them, pretending she wanted to do it herself. Then, just as the assassin handed it over and let his guard down, Dominika struck. It turned out Dominika had only pretended to cooperate with the assassin, waiting patiently for the right moment to save Nash. Suddenly, the assassin regained consciousness and lunged at them with a razor-sharp knife, but neither Dominika nor Nash froze. They fought back. In the heat of the struggle, Dominika seized a brief opening and slashed the assassin's leg, severing his tendons. The man collapsed, unable to stand. Wasting no time, Dominika rushed over and finished him off. When she opened her eyes again, she was lying in a hospital bed. Physically, she was no longer in danger. But the true crisis had just begun. The assassin's death was undeniable proof. Dominika had betrayed her country. That's when the headmaster suddenly appeared by her bedside. Dominika assumed he had come to kill her, but instead, he revealed something shocking. He was the informant the Americans had been protecting all along. He told her the truth. Years ago, his wife was diagnosed with cancer. The Russian government refused to allow her access to American doctors. She died as a result. That loss shattered him and drove him to become a mole for the CIA. But now, he was tired. He had lived too long in fear and deception. He believed Dominika had the strength and potential to replace him. His proposal? Expose him. Turn him in. That way, she would earn her freedom, save her life, and take over his role as the Americans' inside asset. It was a gamble, but also her only chance. Dominika acted quickly. She surrendered to the Budapest police, calmly admitting that she had killed the assassin. Then she requested to speak with the Russian embassy. Inside the embassy, she asked to make a direct call to the director of the Russian security agency. She claimed she had discovered the identity of the mole and was willing to exchange this valuable information for her life. The director listened carefully as Dominika said the name. At the same time, the headmaster returned home. He didn't lock the door. He simply sat down on the couch and waited, ready to accept his fate. Back in Budapest, Dominika was escorted to the airport under police protection. The CIA was already there, waiting. Nash watched her from a distance, eyes full of bitter disappointment. To him, it seemed the woman he had risked everything for had finally chosen her side. Just then, a Russian helicopter landed. Out came a hooded figure, the supposed mole. Nash demanded confirmation. "Take off the hood," he said. But when the hood was removed, it wasn't the headmaster. It was Ivan. Nash's heart sank. Dominika had played them all, but there was no turning back now. The Americans agreed to the exchange. From their side, the conditions were met. As for the Russians, Dominika had named her own uncle as the traitor. After her phone call, Russian authorities had raided Ivan's home. There, they found a wine glass with his DNA, an unregistered account in Vienna, and the exact encrypted intel Dominika had passed along, also traced to Vienna. The CIA had wired $250,000 to that account. The evidence was overwhelming. Ivan had been framed so perfectly that not even he could defend himself. Before being handed over, Ivan leaned in close and whispered something into Dominika's ear. Then, with grim dignity, he walked toward the American side. But Russia had no intention of letting a traitor leave alive. From a hidden sniper post, they shot Ivan in the head, killing him instantly. Dominika, now cleared of suspicion, was escorted back to Russia. Instead of being punished, she was celebrated, a new national hero. In the grand hall of the Russian Security Bureau, applause echoed around her. Even the headmaster sat silently among the crowd, watching with satisfaction. She had done exactly what he hoped, and just like that, Dominika took her uncle's place. She became the new director of the Russian Security Bureau, and at the same time the CIA's most powerful asset. The double game had become her life. A double-layered Sparrow spy, caught between two worlds, Russia and the United States, Dominika continued walking the razor's edge, not out of loyalty, but for survival. The game was far from over. It had only just begun. If you enjoyed this recap, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to my channel.